Hello, and this is GM Talks, and I am back. Today we're going to look at winning at chess. I will always looking for how to find the formula, how to keep on winning, and one of the ingredients for the formula is to keep the pressure. Just keep your opponent in an unpleasant place where he has to make difficult, or he or she has to make difficult decisions all the time. This is key for winning, and we had an excellent example yesterday when Denmark unfortunately lost to France in the European chess team championship is played in Montenegro in Budva. I'm no longer part of the national team, and it's, to be honest, it's a kind of a relief to be sort of out of the cage. No more pressure, just sitting and relaxing and pointing my fingers and you making mistakes. Anyway, I know how it feels, and it's a lot of pressure, and playing for your country is something clearly different than everything else. Just like it triples the pressure when you're playing. You really want to do well, and it makes it so hard. Anyway, let's dive into the game. It was interesting game. White is Marc, Andria, Maurizzi, the big French talent. They started having him in the team not pretty long ago, actually. So, and black is Allan, Stig, Rasmussen, very experienced Danish grandmaster. He's had a very big rating dip recently, but he can play at a high level, like 2600, and he's known as an excellent fighter, which is always sort of staying in the game. So this is kind of interesting. He's black, and he plays e5. I think his normal openings are the Caro-Kann and the Sicilian, but he's got some e5 in under there as well. And this is the Spanish opening, Ray Lopez, and here Andresen plays this move. And to be honest, this cannot be a serious bid for an advantage. You're just going into a 4 knights with black gotten away with a6. So this must be fine for black, to be honest. In general, the idea for white in the Ray Lopez is to play c3, d4, build a center and have more space, and probably make that into some sort of an attack. Bishop c5 cannot be a bad move here. Castle, and white can try to take the pawn, but it doesn't work. So here it's if he takes here, it's I don't know what you do here. Maybe you go you can go rook e8. I think is fine, and I guess something like this is if this is probably already better for black. Or bishop g4 or something. So you cannot win the pawn, but something you always have to check. Anyway, so we get this kind of position. This is a very modern position because this is where white at the moment is searching for an advantage against the Berlin in this structure. Here, both sides have already castled queenside. In general, white's plan would be to push the f pawn, trying to get an open file here and put pressure on the king, and hopefully he's playing sort of a Capablanca game where he will have a good bishop and all the other pawns on white. Bishop d4, a3. He could go to h5. It's dangerous to play d4. I think you can take. It would be dangerous, but black just plays it very solid, and this must be fine, even though it seems slightly better for white. Anyway, we're in for a long maneuvering battle, and it's also the kind of thing where you expect the player with the best nerves to get out of there. And by the way, with nerves, it's often a good idea to be young, because you just not sort of affected by this as much. Of course, some young players are, but in general, I think it's a good thing to be young. Anyway, it's always a good thing to be young. Okay, so the knight is coming to this square, and white does have a slight edge, but it's nothing much, and black puts the knight here. The knight is a little bit like the Carlsbad structure where you put the knight on d6. Here it's really excellently placed with all the key squares, and actually this is a key square as well, because this is where white would like to attack. C3 taking away the d4 square and c5. You could say that this bishop here is a big pawn, but it's also a very nice defensive piece that can that probably white will have to take it at some point. Black does not have a big plan here, something like king h8 and maybe f6, queen d7, rook d8 or rook e8 or something like that. Queen e8 is a little bit weird, but he's probably eyeing some queen b5 ideas here, something like this, attacking these squares, but it's, I don't know, it feels a little bit artificial to go here. Queen g4, so opening for the f-file, and of course putting pressure on g7. f6 looks like the most natural move here, and white decides to go d4. That's a bit early. Usually white would prepare something first here and take, and of course the big point is you cannot take here due to queen mate, so you have to do something. A natural move here would be maybe king h8, but that looks kind of bad because white will probably go back here and he will have a nice diagonal down toward the king. But a good move here could be something like this move. This looks like a very natural move, just getting some squares on the king side, and something like this is probably nothing. You can probably just take here, and I don't believe you have any problems here at all after something like this. Followed by rook e8 and queen g6 and things like that. So I think this is perfectly fine for black, totally equalized this position. So queen g6 is a natural move. Instead, Allan did this, and I don't really like this, but it's an attempt to sort of solve all the problems at once, getting the queen away from the king side, and but it is weakening the king, and in general you really want to avoid these kind of moves if you can. This is not the kind of move you want to play, and the game will see that white will keep the pressure for a long time, and black will have to play very well. Queen e2. So white is probably slightly better here. White does have a knight, and black does have a bishop, and in general I think the bishop is not worse than the knight, and often it's a little bit better. But at the moment, and if you put the pawn back on h7, if you could do something like this, then black would definitely be fine. No problem at all. But the pawn is on h5, and that makes the whole structure on the king side much more vulnerable. Queen e5. Okay, so that was the concrete reason for attacking here and attacking. And attacking here, and forcing this move, and queen b5, queen c2. So he got the queen activated. He's got a bishop that looks pretty good, and it's probably still okay. I think natural moves would be something like rook a8 or rook f7, trying to sort of get your pieces into harmony, be able to be as active as possible. Sometimes this bishop, especially in the endgame, will be the better piece. So it would be nice to have a very active position. You have to be a little bit careful because the king is not. It will never be completely safe again, I guess. this looks natural, but after this, white does keep a little bit of pressure, right? And we do see that this knight would like to head for this hole here, right? So this is where it would like to go. You can also see that it's always like this. It could also go here, right? I should probably do like this. And c6, and that's probably a bit too passive. I think you probably maybe should you put your queen here, could be nice. So maybe this move would not be so bad. I don't know. And queen f7. I think that looks like a good plan. Something like this, and queen f7, and I guess, I don't know, white is still a little bit better, more active pieces. The h pawn has gone sailing away, still nothing much. c6 looks a little bit passive. Knight d4, and he could maybe play bishop h2. Still, white is better. The h pawn is a serious weakness. He played queen e5, natural move, and of course the idea was not to go back. White is playing for an attack here. If he gives the natural move here is of course this, and after this check. And king h1, the knight will land on e6 and will be a little bit annoying. So I think white is better here. Knight f4 is probably coming. So instead he went queen e8, and that's passive. And now it's clearly. By the way, that's one of the things I realized as I got older. I think Allan is 40 or something like that, and actually that's where it starts, where you start to play a little bit too passively. You have really had to push yourself not to become passive, and here queen e8 is a bit too passive, and check is of course very annoying. Knight is coming in here, and white is having a lot of pressure here, and the bishop is a tactical weakness. This pawn is weak, and this might be weak, and the white squares are weak, and this bishop could be a problem as well. So it's kind of and white got this move already very annoying position for the poor black guy here. The thing is, you can't take because of knight g5, and you're just gonna lose everything. So this is so you have to go back, and I think he's a little bit lucky that something like I think this doesn't work, right? Because there's a after this there's a check here, there, and if you go this move first. Then you got this check. So that was a little bit lucky for Allan, because I don't think he saw when he played queen e8, he didn't see e5. I'm sure. So he's in trouble here. A natural move to keep the pressure and keep the rooks on, because even though they're on open files, they are very clumsy. And I should stop hitting that button. These two rooks. So rook de1 looks like a very unpleasant move for black. Just keeping all the trumps in the position. Instead, he went for this move, and it's of course not bad, because all your pieces are active. Black has to go to c8 to cover this pawn here, and after this move. It's not really funny, right? I think something like this will be met by g4, and you're really afraid this is coming all the way down here. I think this is unpleasant for black. It looks natural. Instead, Allan played a pretty cool move, rook rook takes f6, just giving away a thing. And this is one of the things that Allan is very good at, is just keeping, not seeing ghosts, just saying, okay, I'll see if am I dead here, and he's not dead. So it turns out there's not really much, but of course white is much better here, attacking the pawn and g6, and here white he's so much better that he starts to this often happens to Allan's opponents when they are struggling. Here he starts to move a little bit around in a pretty stupid way, actually. So he's just moving, and black's sort of keeping. He's almost getting his house in order here, slowly but surely, and I think it's nice for black. He can just keep playing natural moves, but this just didn't make sense, and I think rook f7. I think, by the way, this square is not a good square for the rook. It has to. I think f5 is or f6 are the optimal squares. Still, black is not dead here. White is of course better and can keep on trying. And in a practical game, this is very difficult. This was a good move, and king h6, and white is black is actually very close to equal here, and rook f5, another strong move, just getting the pieces into the game, and might even start to consider something like this, or maybe even something like this. So this is starting to, and he's threatening to take the knight. So the knight went somewhere, not allowing too much here. And here black is in better shape than in a long time. He needs to be able to counterattack if white starts to be very aggressive with g4. And this is probably what he missed. But it's also very difficult when you had a long defense to sort of switch to that you're probably okay and you have the optimal setup. You try to keep improving your setup. So maybe black could play something like h4 looks like a very nice move. You want to stifle the pawns here, and if your king is not in trouble, then it's okay. And I think white is not had not done enough with his advantage here, and I think it's probably equal. Instead, Allan, and he played this move, which is a big mistake. It looks like a decent good move, and he had played the rook to f7 before. The problem is that white now is a perfect situation for this move. Very unpleasant move. Almost and here black has to give up a pawn, because and unfortunately Allan completely missed white's idea. White's idea is we will see it in the game. So he played queen d5, very natural move, but it loses instantly. He had to play maybe something like this and give up a pawn after d takes, and try here. And here white has a fantastic finish prepared. I think long ago when he played d4, he played rook e5, attacking the queen. The queen does no checks, so even though the king looks like it's even more exposed than white's black king, it's not. And the big point comes here. Boom! This was really, and it's made in two moves. Check. The king is on attack. You have to take, and g5. You have to take, and it's a nice little checkmate here. Because the queen is controlling the square, the knight is controlling this one, and it's covering here, and we have this one here. So bye king. Very nice game, and a typical example of how difficult it is to hold these positions. White keeps, if the attacker keeps the pressure on. I think actually Marc, Andria, Maurizzi did a little bit of a bad job from move 30 to 40. He was sort of losing his advantage after I played very well, and Allan got punished for his h5 and his queen e8, and later on he fought his way back and then lost. Unfortunately, we lost the match, even though, and it's a little bit annoying with this match point, because we got lost 3 matches with 2.5, 3 and 1.5, and so that gives us 0 point, and that's unfortunate. I think we could have had more points, especially because Denmark started out winning against Azerbaijan, which is probably the best results ever from a Danish team. Anyway, this was GM Talks. It's nice to be back. I hope to do more video more frequently. Thank you for watching, and have a nice weekend.